A very warm welcome to all of you. Myself Rajan Choudhary, Professor in the Department of Civil Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Guwahati, instructor for the NPTEL MOOC course Pavement Construction and Technology funded by Ministry of Education, Government of India. This talk will be under the module 8 where we will discuss various aspects related to quality control and quality assurance to be taken care during the road construction. Now, at the very beginning, I would like to acknowledge the use of text, informations, graphs and images sourced from various textbooks, codal standards, journal articles, reports, newsletters and public domain searches. When it comes to quality control, or you might have heard the term very regularly, quality assurance, these are very important aspects in any road construction project, or we can say any civil engineering construction project or any construction project. So, what is common and fundamental to all the road projects is, irrespective of their scale or complexity, how big the project may be there, or what are the complexities which are involved, it is what our main target is the total quantity which we want to achieve out of it, encompassing every stage from, and this total quality is to be from the project planning to construction and goes up to operation and maintenance also. So, it is like a requirement in terms of the total quality of the project, where the planning phase is involved, where the construction phase is involved, and there later on the operation and maintenance phases are involved. The quality of works must be such that the road delivers, specifically in case of road projects, the intended performance in accordance with what? Prescribed standards or the contract document, specifically prescribed standards throughout its design life. So, whatever design life we have picked up for that particular project, it should be able to meet or deliver the desired required standards. And for this particular one, we have many standards already existing with us, like we have the Handbook of Quality Control for Construction of Roads and Runways SP 11, which have been amalgamated with Manual for Quality Control in Road and Bridge Works IRC SP 112. We have the MORTH Orange Book with us, specifications for road and bridge works, and we will discuss some of the quality control and quality assurance aspects. So, many more relevant standards are there which needs to be taken care when we are looking to the quality aspects, total quality aspects of a road construction project. So, ensuring quality in a road construction project is important. Why? So that we are able to provide users with a safe and comfortable riding conditions during the entire design life. So, whatever design life, 50, 20 years, 30 years, for the entire design life we are able to provide a safe and comfortable riding conditions, minimizing vehicle operating cost. If you give a good surface, a good riding quality, it minimizes the vehicle operating cost also. Ensuring optimal utilization of material resources. Nowadays, this is also a very challenging aspect, because all we are consuming is our natural resources. So, what we are leaving behind for the generations to come. So, we need to go for an optimal use of the natural resources, or we can call it as our national resources, while doing these road construction jobs. So, it also ensures enrichment of the knowledge, because we learn from the experience, we work with new technologies, new materials. So, it is enrichment of knowledge in the industry, lower bid prices, because then we are able to enhance our knowledge, expertise, we can bring down the cost which is also involved, and faster completion of projects. We are presently going for a construction of around 30 kilometers of national highways a day. So, this can help us, this quality control or a good total quality management can give us all these aspects. Now, the term comes as a total quality management. Now, it is a management approach where an organization centered on quality based on the participation of all its members, like specifically in a road construction project, there will be a concessionaire, consultant, authority may be there, there are some independent consultants are there. So, all these are different bodies of an organization. So, a management approach of an organization centered on quality based on the participation of all its members. So, all these members should participate and aiming at long term success through customer satisfaction, because all these are products finally which needs to be delivered for users. So, it is ultimately the customer satisfaction which is there, and benefits to all members of the organization and society. So then only it is possible, because the organizations which are involved and finally the users all should get benefited. So that means a total quality management. So a total quality management help us to achieve a high quality product or service, which may be a road, we can call it as a road section as a product, or a service, it can be a service for the road users. It aims to utilize the human and material resources. So in this particular one, we will look into how, in what best manner we can utilize both human and material resources in the most efficient and effective manner to achieve the desired objectives of an organization. So specifically in road projects, there are three focal points of total quality management. One is the quality assurance, quality control and acceptance. Many a times quality assurance takes care of quality control and acceptance also. So TQM, we call it as total quality management. TQM thus helps to ensure the quality matching with the standards. So whatever standards already laid down, finally we should be able to achieve those ones. So as mentioned, three focal points are there in case of total quality management. One is quality control, second quality assurance and quality acceptance is there, whether that is whatever quality achieved is accepted or not. So all activities pertaining to quality resolve around three core elements which have been mentioned, and the responsibility of different bodies are there for these aspects. So irrespective of the contracting model adopted, nowadays different contract models are adopted for road construction projects, but mainly in all those different kinds of project models, the quality control is specifically taken care by the contractor or the concessionaire. So this is one. Then when it comes to quality assurance, this mainly applies comprehensively to all stakeholders involved in the project. So it is your consultant also, contractor also, concessionaire also, the authority also, or all are in one or the other way involved in the quality assurance. Finally, when it comes to acceptance, rest with the employer and authority, because they are the final authority to accept what product or service has been created. Supported by, and for this particular one, they can take helps of some consultants. We can call them as independent consultants specifically in medium and large scale projects. So some standard definitions which have been there for quality control. One is, a quality control is said as a planned system of activities whose purpose is to provide a level of quality that meets the needs of users. So whatever the system which we develop specifically to attain a certain level of quality, and that meets the demand or the requirements of the users. Usually the main objective of quality control is to provide overall system integrating the quality factors of several related steps. It is, so there in this quality control there will be several interrelated aspects will be there. What is this? The proper specification for what is wanted. If you are looking for a road, a national highway, an expressways, what are the specifications which you are looking out of it in terms of its strength, in terms of its functional requirements? So the proper specification is to be there. This is one part of the quality control. Production, to meet the full intent of the specification, what should be the production process, how the production process has to be there, so as to achieve those specifications which is there for a particular product or service. Inspection, to determine whether the resulting material, product, service, etc. is in accord with the specification. So that quality control involves this particular inspection also, so as to monitor whether what the product or service is as per the specifications which are meant for it. Review of uses to determine, and when certain things are put to uses, we get a review from users, we get a review from different organizations, and on the basis of review we can look into for the revision of these specifications also. So these all are aspects related to a quality control. Now when it comes to quality assurance, again this is a planned system of activities whose purpose is to provide assurance, because I need to assure that I am able to get those what I am desiring out of it. So activities whose purpose is to provide assurance that overall quality control program is in fact being effectively implemented. So, what quality control program which was finalized is getting properly implemented or not. So, this system entails a continuous evaluation of the adequacy and effectiveness of the overall quality control. So, it does a continuous assessment of your quality control program, whether that particular one is met to the required expectations or not, with the objective of initiating corrective actions wherever necessary. In addition to this particular one, if it is falling that the wherever quality control programs are not monitored properly, what are the corrective actions which needs to be required or taken in that case. For a specific material, product, service, etc. or system, this process involves like verification that whether it is meeting to the required standards. Audits may be there. So, there may be internal audits, there may be audits by a third party audit may be there, evaluations of the quality factors and different factors in terms of say a road surface can be evaluated in terms of surface regularity, in terms of the density, in terms of the roughness. So, different in terms of the different quality factors that influences its specification, production, inspection and end use with the relevant environment. So, this is what a general requirement which is there from a quality assurance planning system. Now, we will discuss in this total quality management some key steps are there. So, in this entire total quality management which needs to be followed or taken care for a road project, there are some important key aspects which are there. So, we will discuss those key aspects one by one and they are well documented in our IRC SP 112 guidelines. So, we have first is the selection of the class of the quality assurance plan. So, this what class or the level of quality assurance plan has to be followed, this will depend upon the kind of project specifically or the quality, the level of the project. So, based on the level of control and cross verification required, 4 classes of quality assurance plans are defined. So, there are 4 classes which have been mentioned for this particular one. The first one says nominal quality assurance plan, which is mentioned as a nomenclature as Q1. It is specifically for rural roads in remote areas subjected to specific approval of the concerned road agency. So, this is the first category of quality assurance which is the class of quality assurance. Second is normal quality assurance class which is designated as Q2. It is specifically for rural roads and average size projects, or we can see for major district roads in that case. Then we have the high quality assurance level which is there and specifically where it is to be followed. This is the Q3 sorry, which is to be followed for national highways, state highways, coastal roads. This is as per IRC SP 112. So, it says for coastal roads, roads in high altitudes, roads in high rainfall regions, average rainfall more than 2000 mm and large size projects or major district roads again. Then we have extra high quality assurance levels are there. This is Q4. This is specifically for expressways, tunnels and elevated highways. So, first of all we need to work it out what is the quality assurance level which is to be there for a particular project. Quality assurance level, or we can call it as a class, needs to be decided prior to start of the project preparation. So, this is an important aspect depending upon the category or the type of the project. This class has to be well defined before it. However, this can happen during the course of implementation. We can move from one lower class to a upper class. So, however, during the course of project implementation, quality assurance class of some of the items or attributes, specifically some of the features of that particular project, may be upgraded to next class based on specific requirements. So, certain features of it may be upgraded to the higher class depending upon the requirements. Now, the second requirements comes up for this under this total quality management is the personnel. So, here there will be involvement of personnel for both contractor as well as the concessionaire. So, we will mention as and the independent bodies are there or your authority is there. So, both concessionaire, contractor and the engineer consultant are required to engage an adequate number of qualified personnel possessing the necessary knowledge, experience and exposure to ensure effective quality control. So, they need to have a given standard of knowledge, the experience and expertise to handle different kind of projects specifically or variety of aspects in road construction. So, that is must to ensure that we get a good quality project or a good quality product. So, the competence, and in this particular one, along with this particular one specifically where the personnel are involved in terms of engineers, material engineers or quality control engineers, in addition to this particular one, another important aspect is the competence of laboratory technicians, especially who are directly responsible for conducting the test, is particularly critical in achieving reliable results. So, this is another important aspect, that in these road construction projects, the technicians or the laboratory staff which is engaged should be should be knowledgeable one with a good knowledge, expertise and experience, so as to understand and conduct the test in a reliable manner. So, the size and complexity of a project dictate the number, qualifications and levels of expertise of the personnel required. So, depending upon what level of project is there, what kind of project is there, or we can say in terms of the project cost, that if the project cost is more than this many number of say personnel is required having this educational qualification and this expertise. So, typically detailed regarding the deployment of key and sub-professional personnel in the contractors organization is shown in this particular table. Here you can see the requirement is mentioned in terms of the size of the project. It says if the say typical example, so here it says if the project is say for less than 300 crores, so the other one is greater or equal to 300 crores, what are the requirement? Key and sub professional. So, here you can see it is a material engineer, one is required, quality control or assistant quality control engineer 2 are required, and lab technicians 4 are required. And similarly, when the project cost is higher or the size of the project is higher, there is again material engineer is 1, but quality control, this is a typical example, quality control assistant quality control engineers are 3, lab technicians are 6. And how this organization structure can be there, a typical example is shown here. You can have the material engineer with which you have the 2, in case of the first case where the project cost is less than 300 crores, you have quality control or assistant quality control engineer. One can take care of your earth and concrete works, the second one can take care of your specifically for different pavement courses, and this further is having the support from your lab technicians. When the project is of bigger size, then in that particular case you can designate under the material engineer the quality control or assistant quality control engineers with earthwork and for granular courses, then for your asphalt courses, and there can be for concrete and miscellaneous works, and each will have a dedicated lab technicians associated with it. So, similarly there will be requirement in terms of their education also, in terms of their experience and expertise also. Now, once we have decided the class of quality assurance, then the personnel which is involved, then comes the quality assurance plan which is to be prepared. So, quality assurance is defined as all the planned and systematic activities implemented within the quality system and demonstrated as needed. So, wherever it requires, it needs to be demonstrated, well documented, well presented, so that everybody can assure at any stage of movement that the quality is taken care, to provide adequate confidence, because otherwise you do not get a confidence whether your project is going in the correct manner, whether the quality is maintained in that particular project or not. So, that an entity will fulfill requirements for quality. So, this is an important, here it is the planned activities or the how you will move ahead at different stages, so that you have a full confidence on the final product which you are going to achieve. So, in a way quality assurance is sum of quality control and acceptance. In some manner it controls your quality assurance and the acceptance part also. So, the quality assurance plan is therefore a formal document that records the action to be taken and the procedures to be followed for each stage by each party, and it gives responsibilities for each party. involved in the project to ensure its successful implementation in full compliance with the specified quality requirements. So, it gives clear responsibilities to all agencies which are involved in this particular one, and it gives the steps at all stages what are that these are the steps which needs to be followed and which needs to be followed by the different agencies which are involved. So, the projects involves, as mainly the project involves 3 stages. One is project preparation, project when it is developed, and the project construction. These are the 3 broad categories which are there. Therefore, a single project, different quality assurance plans for different stages when you are in the preparation stage, when you are in the development stage, construction stage. So, you may require different quality assurance plans so as to get it executed in a proper manner and for different parties. So, therefore, for a single project, different quality assurance plans needs to be prepared by different parties in different stages. Now, the main objectives with this quality assurance plan is to ensure a comprehensive understanding of the project requirements. It should give us the complete understanding what is required from the product or the project in that case, features, all features in totality. So, it should be in terms of all the requirements which have to be achieved from a particular project. To assess the importance or the impact of environmental factors on the quality. So, it should be well able to assess what can be the effect of the environmental factors on the quality of that particular project. To develop quality systems that consistently assures both processes and product meets the quality requirements. So, we have to have a system where we will look into each steps that whatever the process which are followed in this particular one or whatever the products which are involved in that particular construction are meeting the specified quality requirements. To assign responsibilities with absolute clarity, this has to be very clear. Many a times it is not clear. If it is not clear, this is the responsibility of which party specifically, it creates a lot of confusion and ultimately lead to delay and also to lack of quality in these projects. So, to establish effective methods for meaningful evaluation, because then in addition to this particular one, in this exercise you need to work out a meaningful evaluation, because then only you will be able to make some decisions related to the acceptance or say rectification or rejection. So, at different stages you have to take these steps whether that particular process, that particular product is to be accepted, rejected, or there is some rectification is involved. So, for this one we need to have some effective methods. On the basis of this, decision can be made. To have detailed documentation, process and systems. See, this is very important. All these things needs to be documented properly, because if that is not documented properly, later on in case some failures are there, or in case of some say future expansions of the projects are there, all this information are very important. So, if they are not documented properly, it becomes difficult at the later stages. Now, once the quality assurance plan has been prepared for the different stages and identified the role of different bodies, then we go for the quality requirements. What are the requirements, or we need to lay down the specifications. What are the specifications which has to be there, and for specifications for what? Different products, which may be natural products, which may be factory manufactured materials may be there, products, and there may be some specialized items may be there. So, for every product, if I am saying subgrade soil, then I need to have some specifications what I want from a subgrade soil. If I want to use a material in say base courses, what are my specifications for that material? If I want to use any binder bitumen, what are the specifications of that particular, like bitumen is a factory manufactured material. So, the materials used in road construction can be broadly classified into 3 categories. We put up into 3 categories. One are natural materials, which can be your soil, sand, gravel, stone, etc. The other are factory manufactured at some plant, at some dedicated facility they are produced. We have cement, we have bitumen, we have steel. So, these are factory manufactured products. And there may be certain specialized items also, like on roads you see these crash barriers. So, these are specialized items specifically to serve one particular purpose. So, they are related to road construction projects, so some specialized items are also there. So, the contractor, concessionaire shall provide the quality policy of the suppliers. So, there should be what is the policy which will be adopted by the supplier of these products. So, that policy needs to be provided by the contractor or the concessionaire well in advance of such products to the engineer and the consultant, who will ensure, and they need to ensure it. So, these responsibilities are already assigned in your quality assurance plan. What will be done by the contractor and concessionaire, and what has to be taken care by the engineer and the consultant. So, they will ensure that the supplier's quality policy aligns with the specified requirements. So, whatever products which we are, the binder which we are going to use, whether that is meeting our requirement in terms of grades or the chemical properties, physical properties, rheological properties, different properties, or the aggregates, the binder, the produced mix which is there. So, in big projects, the engineer consultant may also conduct, and in this particular exercise they may conduct an independent checks to verify this supplier's quality policy, because one is what is there documented provided by the contractor, and there may be certain independent checks at the facility itself. Say a binder producing plant may be there, a modified binder producing plant may be there, a facility where your crash barriers are getting produced, there itself we can make a check, we can have a visit, and to ensure whether the quality policy which has been submitted is properly implemented or not. Now, for these specifications, because we need to ensure these specifications which are to be there. So, field laboratories are to be equipped specifically related to the specifications which are laid. So, if you have laid certain specifications, the laboratory should have those testing facilities to check for those specifications. Field laboratory equipped for carrying out most of the tests specified for natural materials and factory manufactured materials is required. There may be some specific test which may not be possible, or it may be very costly to establish those kind of facilities, specifically ALD field. So, in that particular case only those can be omitted, otherwise we prefer to have most of the facilities are available at the field lab to ensure the quality of the products. Suppliers, manufacturers must provide details of testing requirements for their different products. They may have to give the details of the testing requirements so as to meet, along with the codal requirements which are always there with us to support. Individually the manufacturers also gives their guidelines or recommendations for their projects. Availability of site testing facilities is to be checked and ensured, because there are certain things which needs to be done at field. So, what facilities are available, that is important to ensure this particular requirements. Material quality have to be verified through manufacturer or third party laboratory test or by witnessing the test. Normally this is done, you can witness certain processes which are ongoing there, or you can do it through some third party also there. So, in the absence of regular site testing, where in this case concerns of factor produced materials must be addressed. So, in the absence of some regular site testing facility is missing in that case, or there is not an adequate facility. Concerns of factory produced, specifically factory produced materials like cement is there, bitumen is there, must be addressed through rigorous testing and strict adherence to the manufacturing practices. So, there we need to have a strict adherence whether they are following the manufacturing processes as per the standards or not. But for big projects we will always pray for. Small projects also it is very important to have the basic facilities. So, now the fifth steps comes up in terms of the laboratory setup. So, this is again a backbone of any particular road project. So, quality controls require systematic testing of materials, processes and workmanship at various stages. Workmanship, because how do you produce how do you do a laying when there are certain manual operations are required, because when you do say construction of subgrade courses, there may be some manual operations are involved. When you are looking into your work related to the production of some granular courses, so there also the workmanship is involved. So we need to ensure through regular testing of materials to ensure that the processes which are followed, which are for laying, say for laying, compaction, those processes are as per the required standards. So the contractor needs to establish an adequate number of field laboratories, because the project may be big enough and the plants may be located at different sites. So we need to have some adequate number of these facilities which are to be present at the project site, equipped in accordance with the requirements. These requirements are well stated in our MORTH specifications for road and bridge works and the other standards which are to be followed under that particular road project. And now here comes the number. How many number? What should be the size, and where should be the laboratories located. So depends upon the project organization as well on the location of. Now you have a crusher, so you need a small lab there. You may have a wet mix plant, you may have a hot mix plant, you may have some batching plants. So if they are located at different places, you will require some laboratories at individual these plants. And if they are centrally located, it can work out with one single laboratory also. So if all facilities are at same location, a single laboratory at campsite can work in that particular case. Otherwise, individual small plant laboratories are provided to meet out the specification requirements, because what you are producing at a wet mix plant, your laboratory setup should be able to ensure that the quality of that particular product from that plant. Now mainly it is the responsibility of the contractor to establish test laboratories. But however, in projects with multiple packages, because there may be different sections handled by different contractors, in this particular one, the employer or authority may establish a central laboratory. So it may have a central laboratory, because one package may be handled by one contractor, other package, or that means other section length may be handled by some other contractor. In that case, the employer or the authority may have a central laboratory at some suitable location, enabling the engineer to conduct tests on all materials and mixes. So this can be another part. A field laboratory is the primary safeguard of quality control. It is very important how well it is equipped. As mentioned earlier when we were looking into the personnel for these projects, so where we mentioned that the lab technicians plays a very crucial role. So with this particular one, along with that skilled lab technicians with experience and expertise, we need a good lab facility. So it's the primary safeguard of quality control. Its infrastructure and equipment, what facilities we have, what kind of facilities, level of facilities plays a crucial role in the quality assurance process. So there are certain aspects or features which are important with respect to these field laboratories are the layout and plan. The layout where they are located, and it should be such that it can accommodate different equipments, because you have equipments for different products, for binder, cement, for mix, for aggregates. For different products you will have different set of equipments. They are accommodated in a proper manner and provides a good efficient working environment, because this is important. You need to work rigorously for different testing processes with these equipments. So the environment should be good enough so that you can do those multiple evaluations. A good amount of testing is involved in every day's work. All intended equipment and accessories available and properly maintained. This is another aspect related to every equipment. There are attached accessories are there, so they should be there and properly maintained. Required consumables are there and they are correctly stored for different tests. Different agents are required for different tests when we do for aggregates, when we do on binder also. So a good amount of consumables are required, so they should be available and stored in a proper manner. And the other important part is whatever tests which are done at the laboratory scale, this needs to be properly documented. and we should need to have an effective documentation and a record management system. Now, here in these equipments, the second important part is in the field laboratory testing, which is equipped with good equipments, they need to be calibrated. The different, because there are different components, different equipments which require some regular calibration. So, the second important aspect in the total quality management, the other important project aspect under the total quality management is calibration of inspection, measuring and testing equipments. So, calibration, what is calibration? Is the process of comparing the measurements obtained from an instrument with those of a known measurement or a standard one. So, we need to work it out what is the standard and what your equipment is giving. So, that needs to be compared, so as to establish a relationship between the equipment's indicated values and the true values of the measured quality. So, this is quantity. So, this is very, very important. We have these load cells which are there, we have dial gauges which have there, we have balances, we have thermometers, we have these density gauges are there. They need to be regularly calibrated. So, in road projects, a wide range of equipments incorporate measuring devices such as proving rings, dial gauges, temperature gauges, load cells, weighing pads, scales, sieves, nuclear density gauges that demand calibration. So, calibration of even calibration, not only these small components, calibration of hot mix plants are there, wet mix plants are there. So, as to give you the desired, we have discussed earlier, the uniformity of the mix is important, homogeneity and uniformity of the mix. So, for that particular one, these plants needs to be calibrated, even the pavers needs to be calibrated. So, because in terms of what the temperatures are there, the sensors of the pavers are working well or not. So, this demands a calibration. So, calibration of major plants and equipment, hot mix plants as well as laying units like asphalt pavers is again equally important. Now, you have a good facility, in this facility you have taken care of a good calibration, then there is a regular requirement of your inspection and testing. So, this is again, this is all forms under the plan of your quality assurance plan. All these informations related to inspection and testing will be clearly identified and mentioned there. So, inspection and testing forms an integral part. A good inspection and a good inspection teams plays a very vital role in the assuring the quality of a project. So, an integral part of the construction activities, the primary objective of inspection and testing at various stages. It is as mentioned, if you have a stone quarry where you are producing the aggregates, so there at that particular stage of production, then when we are reducing it to different sizes by the aggregate crushers there also, then when it is getting produced through some or processed in certain plants there also. So, different stages are involved. So, the primary objective of inspection and testing at various stages. So, this inspection and testing will be at various stages for the different materials to ensure that all materials being incorporated in the product and the end product. So, that is why the specifications are laid. We have specifications for aggregates, we have a specification for say a binder which may be mixed, and we have specifications when these are combined together. So, the specifications, the investigations will be required on individual products and when the end product which may be a combination of these different products. So, as finally they meet out the quality requirements. It is important to clearly specify the inspection and testing requirements during project preparation, construction and operation and maintenance. So, all these requirements, so that will be has to be taken care through your quality assurance plan. All these needs to be activities related to field inspection and testing should be clearly defined. What is to be tested in what manner and compared with what standards. The contractor shall submit a quality assurance plan at the commencement of the contractor and implement quality control through inspection and testing at designated hold points specified therein. We at a designated frequency, we have discussed in our earlier lectures that this is to be the frequency to ensure a particular aspect. So, all what aspects are to be ensured and at what stage it is to be ensured, that are clearly given in your quality assurance plans. Inspection and testing in road projects usually covers the following. What it covers? Broad, many more aspects. We can look into the alignment and surface regularity, we have discussed. Positioning, where do we put up the furnitures and accessories related to road projects. The testing of constituent materials and finished products, as I mentioned, individual products, aggregates, binder, modifiers, all those individual projects, and finally the finished product needs to be set. And this involves both field and in situ testing. So, there may be certain project materials which requires field testing. We do the compaction, ensure for the compaction in the field, we ensure for the moisture content in the field. So, these are certain parameters which needs to be ensured in the field, or that is the in situ testing. Now, this information related to what has been arrived from this field testing and evaluation needs to be properly documented and communicated. This information needs to be well disseminated among the different bodies. So, this is another important aspect. As I mentioned, later on, if some information is to be retrieved for some purpose, if say all of a sudden there is some fault has been observed, so we can look into the documentation that what was there during the field inspection and testing. From there can we draw some information to look into any specific failure, or if there is some expansion of the project is required, then also we need to be well aware of the information of the existing products. So, documentation is involved in the process of planning, design, reviews. At different stage we keep on reviewing, procurement of the different materials, products, storage, how we store those materials, and issue of materials, at what time in stages these materials have been issued, plant and machinery operations, how they have been operating, what temperatures they have been operating, how many hours they have been operating, under what conditions they have been operating, any changes which have to be encountered or found, amendments which have been made, any specific approvals which have been taken in due course of the time, that certain things have been observed, and for this a special approval has been taken up. Subcontracting, certain works may be sublet to some particular agency, a specific work may be there. It gives the information at what stages the payments are to be made, accounting and control of absolute documents, and certain documents which may not be required at a later stage. So, documentation of quality assurance and quality control processes with proper authenticity, these should be authentic documents, are critical, are very critical. Say, this is whenever we hear about any failure in a particular road project, it is quite difficult to work out and carry out the forensic investigation without having a proper support of the existing documentation. If you have a good documentation, you can get a good idea, you can work out a good possible reason for any changes which you have observed from the standard specifications. So, are critical for arriving at acceptance or otherwise of a finished product, and especially even during this particular part, when you need to accept a particular project, you need to say reject a particular project, this documentation has to be there proper. On the basis of it, it may be accepted, rejected, or requires a rectification. Communication practices should be such that there is quick. See, if something has been observed at the site, it should be very quickly communicated to the plant. So, if they found something is there, some in terms of, say, for an example, a gradation is there which is not coming up, good gradation is not coming up in the field. So, that information should immediately go to the plant part, where they make the requisite changes so as that the gradation is achieved. So, and all agencies should be kept well informed out of it. So, communication practices should be such that there is quick and objective interaction among all stakeholders for the day-to-day needs. So, this is very important. Even how much rollers are there, if one roller stops functioning, that information should be very well communicated to the other agencies, because then only they can see what steps needs to be taken up, so that to get a control over the whatever any deficiency which has arrived in the field. For this purpose, nowadays e-tools are very common. We use tablets, there are many softwares which are there, through which this information is very well shared with all the agencies or the personnel which are involved. May be preferred option for this communication. And then comes the statistical analysis, because now you have from your field and testing, you have whatever information, you have the well documented information with us. Then we need to work out, we need to see, we need to compare those ones and to evaluate the findings of those investigations. Now, variability of materials, workmanship and construction process is quite common in road construction jobs, similar to any manufacturing process. It is very because bulk quantities of materials are required. There will be change in the sources of the materials, there will be change in the workmanship, wear and tear of the machinery is involved. So, some variability is expected to arrive. Now, adding to the variability of the materials and processes, because when the processes also changes under different conditions, there exists variation in the testing process results from measurement errors also. As I said, what measurement errors may be there with respect to the calibrations are to be proper in that particular case. Even some measurements, when they are done in field or in situ, some measurement errors may also get involved into it. So, now on the basis of those results, we need to come to a decision over that particular product or product, that whether it is as per our specification or not. So, acceptance procedure is therefore required to factor in variability. So, that acceptance process should be such that it is taking care of the variability which is actually expected at the field. So, variability of test results, or in other words statistical analysis of the test. So, here comes into picture, we need to use statistical tools to analyze these results considering the possible variability that can be there. So, statistical analysis provides a basis for informed acceptance decisions. So, on the basis of statistical analysis, I can say, okay, with this much variability, this particular say lot or this particular work can be accepted, and if the variability is high, because of which on the basis of my statistical analysis I can say it needs to be rejected or any other thing. So, statistical quality control in road projects or road works primarily involves the statistical inspection of the work items in lots. Lots normally refers to a 1 day's work. So, and using results to determine their acceptance, and we in 1 day's work we do multiple testings. So, on the basis of those sample results we work out, do the statistical analysis. This will further discuss in the upcoming lecture. So, statistical analysis for road works deals with the samples to draw inference about quality characteristics of the population. So, a bigger aspect may be a lot of 1 day's work, and then there may be smaller aspects in terms of the subsections of that 1 day work. Now, once you have this statistical information with you, on the basis of that we will work out whether that work can be accepted or it needs to be rejected or it needs to be rectified. So, material, product or specialized item, whatever it is getting produced in a road construction project, that particular one either received or manufactured on site as well as any work carried out the site must ultimately be either accepted or rejected. So, and that too on the basis of the statistical analysis which we did. So, rejected work may be reworked to meet the acceptance, and there should be some scope. If we are finding that certain works can be reworked, I will give you some examples in the coming slide. So, then that particular can be allowed for rework to meet out the acceptance criteria. So, the acceptance rejection process typically involves what it involves: identification of attributes on the basis of which you are going to say, if I am doing a laying of a sub base course, I will do on the basis of say permeability, or I will do on the basis of density, or I will do on the basis of the moisture content. So, the attribute on the basis of which the acceptance and rejection has to be made, so that attribute needs to be worked out, and variable quantity characteristics for acceptance. What should be the variability which is allowed? Selection of the lot, which particular lot work we work out, we do the sampling on for that particular lot work, testing which is to be done, statistical analysis which is applicable for that particular one, acceptance, and then finally comes the acceptance and rejection. So, these are the simple steps which needs to be worked out. acceptance criteria, the limiting values, the attributes and their limiting values are well stated in many standard guidelines along with the project documents. So, we have the IRC documents, MORTH guidelines, which states the requirement of different attributes which needs to be ensured for different works of road construction. So, under that particular one, what can be the different categories? One is rework to meet the acceptance criteria. There may be certain works which may be modified or enhanced. So, an example may be there, say a granular course may not have achieved the required density. So, in that particular case, it may be loosened again, the water may be added and it may be recompacted to achieve the required density. So, this is to rework to meet the acceptance criteria. This is one way of it. If it does not, on the basis if the requirements are not met, this can be. So, modify or enhance the properties of the material so that it completes with the required standards. And this can be only once it is as per, again as per the standard procedures and as per the acceptance of the engineer in charge. Second is, if it has to be, if there is certain works which can be accepted, if they are falling short of quality with some reduction in the payment for it. So, again this is a certain aspect where we say accepted with reduced pay factors. So, again there is a particular requirement that if it cannot be reworked, then and if you have to accept it, then it can be accepted with reduced pay factor. This we will further discuss when we will discuss the aspects related to this one, quality control for bituminous works. Regraded for alternate use. Whatever material you are using in one particular course, if it is not found suitable, it can be put to some other use. So, that can be also explored. Use the material for a different purpose after necessary corrections if permitted. For example, a material for a main carriageway, if not found suitable, can be used for a service road or any nearby facilities which are developed. And otherwise, a rejection. If the material is not at all found to be acceptable, it needs to be rejected and it needs to be replaced if it does not fails to meet the requirements. So, these are the different aspects. And in some cases, after this particular one, there may be a requirement of a third party quality audit which is there. So, this is specifically is an independent review which is to be carried out. So, by an external entity, a separate firm of group of experts to assess how effectively the key areas of a project quality are being implemented. So, a third party quality audit can also be taken care, where to ensure that whatever has been there in quality assurance plan, how adequately that has been followed. So, for this particular one, the audit is carried out by an organization independent of the project implementation agencies which are there, including concessionaire, contractor, supervision consultant, employer authority. So, that should be a different agency in comparison to what is already involved. And whether and there it will help us to work out, to assess the work particular, in addition to the identifying the faults with the contractor. So, it is merely overall assessment of the work which is help us through the third party quality audit. So, and it again serves the purpose to check the compliance with the safety, occupational health and environmental requirements in addition to the quality of the works, because these are also important aspects which needs to be taken care. And this can be, this third party quality audit can be taken up depending upon case to case basis where it is required, depending upon the project size, the complexity of the project. And then the last one which comes under this total quality management plan is the safety, health and environment. So, safety, health and environmental considerations are also now very important, because it involves construction workers, road users, nearby communities, both during and after the construction work. So, proper attention to the safety, health and environment not only protects people and property, but also contributes to the overall quality, because this is what we expect from a road project. So, it can directly affect the nearby communities and their environment, and can indirectly affect, because you have the livelihoods, travel routes, noise pollutions, accidents. So, there may be some direct effect of these road projects and indirect effect also of this road project. So, this may contribute to three aspects: safety, your health and environment. Now, environment challenges, maybe in terms when these new projects are constructed, there may be concerns related to soil erosions, the landslides. So, those are certain concerns. Even changes to water courses may be there, and disruption of natural habitats and vegetations. So, these are environmental related concerns which are there. Maintaining high standards of safety, health and environment at work sites is therefore, we have seen in specifically in case of plants also, hot mix plants, how do we take care of the primary dust collectors, secondary dust collectors, so as to take care of the environment. All applicable norms and guidelines, including those specified in contract documents and what we have in already existing in our MORTH guidelines or IRCSP 112, needs to be followed in addition to that one which is given in the contract document, so as to ensure the safety, health and environment quality, which in an overall affects the overall quality of your road construction project. So, this is all for today's lecture, where we have discussed the key aspects related to the total quality management, and in next lecture we will proceed with the quality control aspects of subgrade and granular courses. Thank you so much.